Let's walk through paid time off, PTO, and how you get this set up and how you can approve and how you can delete or remove requests. So first thing, you need to go to Manage People and View All Employees, and you'll notice here you've got balances for paid time off. If this is a new employee who you have not set for or you just added to the system, you click the pencil and you've got a lot of different options here. So you can set vacation, sick, personal, custom. You can leave some of these blank as they are and they will just have a zero balance. And you can choose between assigned or accrual. So for example, if I wanted to assign this particular person 50 hours for the year, I would just do 50 and I would leave it as is. If they've already used some hours because maybe you're on a previous system or whatever it might be and you're transferring, then you would just put in the used hours here. And for sick, for example, let's say we wanted to instead do accrue. So instead of going here to annual hours, we'd go down here to accrue, and let's say you want to accrue 2 hours every period. So it could be weekly, monthly, bi-weekly. Let's just do weekly. The start date is going to be the day that you'll actually see those numbers appear for the first time, and then from there, every single week thereafter. So you want to make sure you pick the date that makes sense. So if you wanted it to not start until their work official start date, for example, you could do the 22nd. If you wanted it to have already started, pick an earlier date. And if you're like, you know what, today is the day, let's go with that. So I'll leave the other two blank, and you can see how this balance will update. So now they've got 50 hours in the vacation bank, and sick has 2, and every week sick will continually increase. So if I go back here, now let me show you how it works from the employee view. So now the employee view, this is actually a different employee that I'm already logged in as, but it's the same exact setup. So they will go to PTO here, and they can make a request. And if you've got PTO, vacation, and sick set up, and that's all you want, then make sure that they know, which ones to approve from or request from, but they will see that here because they would see vacation, sick, personal, custom, they see their banks. So they're like, okay, I have 8 hours of sick here, so I could request 2 for today, let's say, so they could go to my PTO, they could make the request for today and call it sick and say they just need 1 hour. They could just say not feeling well and submit. And if you notice in the background, this pink bar appeared and lit up. And so now it's showing you that you can click here to view the calendar, or you can approve and deny or delete from here. So if you're like, you know what, we've already talked on the phone, good to go, you can just hit approve. If you wanted to figure out capacity for who's already off, you could click the calendar. And it's really clear here to see that you've got 6 of 6 people are available, so it's probably fine for that person to be gone for an hour. So I'll click here and I'll hit approve. And now it turns to the purple, so you are done with the approval process, and in the employee's PTO bank, it will show approved. So now it also showed up here on the lines, so in your PTO row here, and it will show up in the balance here for the week. So if I go back here to the employee page, if I show PTO, it will show approved for the 11th. Today, that was on the 11th. And so we can see here our note was not feeling well, and so there you go. And so the employees got the record. They can hide this upon login so that it's not visible to everyone if they're using a shared device. Another feature to note is the copy button. The employee can copy this, and it goes directly exactly as it is with the balances to a spreadsheet, and so they can keep record of their PTO offline if they want to. If you were to cancel or delete a PTO row, for example, so like let's go back here to the admin and let's say, you know what, actually the 11th mistake, they were able to make it in on time. You just hit the X button and then it will show removed here. And notice you got your vacation, sick balances there. If they just refresh the page and their balance is still the same. So what you need to do is remind them to hit cancel. Once they hit cancel and then we refresh, that was my mistake. Now their sick balance went back up to that hour. So how cancellation works, just to be super clear, is the admin can remove it from wherever on either the calendar or the admin dashboard here, and it will notify the employee that it's been removed. In order for the employee's balance to refund, they need to acknowledge that and just click the cancel button. And then it pulls it out of their PTO bank, as we saw, out of their listing here. So once it's removed, it's like it never happened. So it's completely deleted, and then their balance gets refunded. So that's how cancellation works. So now if I go back over here to our calendar page, that was how the different paid time off options get set up and how they get approved, how they get used, how they get removed. Now let's go to holidays. So for example, let's say the 9th is going to be a holiday. In order to quickly add them, you can just give everyone a holiday for 8 hours and hit add holiday, or you can uncheck some employees. If you've got different setups for different employees, you can change the number of hours for the holiday here. But let's just say everyone's going to get the holiday. I'm going to hit add holiday. And now all the employees have the holiday added, and that was all you have to do. If you go back to admin here, you will see that every single employee's got a holiday filled out now for 2/9. So ultra super easy for holidays. And holidays will work basically the same as PTO does. It's the same type of concept where it's going to show that the calendar is capacity or not coming out right. It will show capacity just like PTO does. The main difference with holiday though is that it's assigned by the company, and so it's not going to refund or deduct from their PTO balances. So it's completely separate. So just make sure that you note that. So if you are choosing to use that 5th PTO category, that is the situation there. So if I were to go here now and I wanted to remove holidays, I would just uncheck and remove those. And so the ones that I unchecked here are now removed. And if I go back over here to the main page, you will see that they have been removed from the weekly timesheet here as well, except like I said, it did not affect their balances. So that concludes everything for paid time off. Again, this is current as of February 2026. There are constantly being features upgraded and added, so get in touch on my site if you have feature suggestions.